Welcome to Catholic Views, where we get to know the faith and those who live it. I'm your host, Renee Kranz. On today's show, we will have Deacon Bill Radio in with us. He's going to talk about the Shroud of Turin. He has been running around the diocese over Lent, giving a presentation on the Shroud. So we're going to talk about that a bit. And one thing I want to mention about that is he will come back probably late summer to talk more about that. He's going to a conference on the Shroud where many, many experts will be there. So he will have hopefully new, really cool information about that. So if you're fascinated by the Shroud of Turin, you'll enjoy today's interview and just kind of keep your eyes open for another one later in the summer. If you're, depending on when you're listening, it is either Happy Holy Week, probably Holy Thursday, or Happy Easter. So we have Dr. Chris Bergwald sitting across from me for some Biblical Bites with Dr. B, probably on Easter.
Probably, yes. We're going to, as is our normal, focus on one of the readings from Sunday.
Yes.
So I will say to listeners, happy
Easter.
Early Easter.
Yes.
So for Sunday, there's actually a few different gospels as options.
Yes.
However, the norm in most parishes in our country is usually to read the gospel from the Easter Vigil. There's a very pragmatic, practical reason for that, Renee. Do you know what it is?
To not have to write another homily,
Right.
I imagine.
It's kind of a busy week. Holy Week is also a busy week
Yes.
in many ways, and so. But I've heard homilies I've heard priests who have read John's Gospel on Easter morning.
Yeah.
The vigil is Matthew, Mark, or Luke.
Sure.
So this year is Luke's Gospel. So I'm going to focus on that one because it's most likely the one that many of you will hear. The Gospel begins this way. Luke chapter 24, verses 1 through 12. At daybreak on the first day of the week. Actually, hold on. Renee, when last we saw Jesus, where did we leave off?
Was it the entry into Jerusalem?
Nope.
Where did we leave? Well, it was Palm Sunday.
Correct.
Where did we leave off?
Where does Palm Sunday's gospel end?
Oh, in the garden, isn't it? No. Oh no, he was dead.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's yes. He had died on the cross.
Yes.
And Luke tells us about Joseph of Arimathea.
Yeah.
Asking Pilate to take the body and laid him in this new unused tomb.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the end. That's the end of chapter 23. 24 begins. At daybreak on the first day of the week, the women who had come from Galilee with Jesus took the spices they had prepared and went to the tomb. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb, but when they entered, they did not find the body of the Lord Jesus. And it goes on from there. There's some dazzling things that happened. Mm-hmm. So what the church always does at the beginning of the gospel reading is sort of give us a little bit of context. So if you read chapter 24, this is how it literally begins. But on the first day of the week, at early dawn, they went to the tomb, taking the spices they had prepared. Well, who's they? Well, it's the women, as we know. So this is how chapter 23 ends. The women who had come with him from Galilee followed, Joseph of Arimathea, and saw the tomb and how his body was laid. Then they returned, that is, they went back home, and prepared spices and ointments. On the Sabbath, they rested according to the commandment. But on the first day of the week, at early dawn, and goes from there. Mm-hmm. Does anything strike you as at all quizzical about?
Well, I know there's a lot of questions usually about the third day, like the 3 days.
Yep, there's that. And the answer to that is the way that the ancient Jews at least reckoned time was any part of a day was considered a day.
Right.
So.
I don't know.
Why didn't they just, the women, I mean, they
just do it then?
Yeah.
Because the Sabbath had started on Saturday.
When?
Or on Friday.
Right.
Friday evening.
I know. Yeah, I know.
You don't do that. You don't. Mm-mm.
But this is Jesus.
Doesn't matter.
Exactly. So these women are faithful Jews. Mm-hmm. And even though the from their perspective, the man who they believed was the Messiah, and maybe even more, even though his body was laying, and from their perspective, their understanding, decaying. I mean, women were the one who prepared the body. They prepared the spices, and they did the final preparation. But you don't do that work on the Sabbath.
Right.
You don't work on the Sabbath. So they had, despite their love for the Lord, they had to wait. They had to wait. And they couldn't go Saturday night either because you don't go out only women of ill repute are out and about at night, if you know what I mean.
Right.
They had to wait till Sunday. There's a spirituality of Holy Saturday, which is waiting. And I would really encourage people, it's Easter now, but to reflect on the importance of waiting for them and what that says for us as Jesus' disciples living today.
Yeah, good stuff, Dr. B, and happy Easter.
You too.